Where are you?
Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order. If you would, call the roll, please.
Mr. Carlson?
Here.
Mr. Long?
Here.
Mr. Matheson?
Here.
Mr. Payne?
Here.
Ms. Reed?
Here.
And we're gonna stand and have a moment of silence, and then I'd ask Mr. Long, if he would, to have the pledge. Mr. Long?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of
America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Do we have any visitors who want to address the board?
Stephen's going to address the board on behalf of Johnson County Youth League football.
Okay, you just called off the phone.
You want me to go get him? He should be, they can see us.
Okay, while we're waiting on him, let's move on to the next item, the consent agenda. Anything on the consent agenda that anyone wants to pull off for discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Long. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second from Mr. Payne. Can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Ms. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes. Okay, now we're back up to Dr. Long. He's going to talk about the football league and I think the Longhorn. Where did he go, Rob?
It's okay. Good afternoon, good evening. I am here on behalf of Youth League Football. I reached out to them because of the unusual circumstances, and they said, yes, please do. So I am here, as they normally do around this time of the year, to ask for permission on their behalf for them to, this is providing things get back to normal, which I know we don't know, but to ask for the permission for them to use our facilities, just on par with what they've done in past years. And that, of course, would be contingent upon us being able to open our facilities. So a conditional permission, I guess.
Just one, I don't know whether you know or not, just a question. I know we got the new field and the new surface up there last year. Everything worked well.
I heard nothing. No, not one complaint from Coach Curley or
Didn't do
anybody.
any wiring or anything. Was
No.
good. Good. I know.
So are you talking about the football field down at the high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, as long as Coach Curley don't have any issues, I'd say, let you use it.
Right, any concerns.
And we are still working on the one at Rome Creek. We have discussed that, but Job Corps is doing that, and right now Job Corps is not even allowed to come up and finish.
They said they had to send their students home
Yeah.
in March.
So I don't
Job Corps is-
foresee him getting to Rome Creek before.
So it's in the plan stage. Just give it somewhere to go. Anyway.
Okay.
Is that something we have to vote on?
Objections? There's no objections. I guess you have your permission.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
I'll just back over here and stay.
You want to go ahead and drop down to number 7 and talk about the Longhorn logo?
I would be happy to. So we reached out to our art teachers and asked for help, just to give you a super fast, yes, sir.
If you will, because we're streaming, and a lot of folks may be watching, haven't watched or been part of the discussion in the past.
Yes.
Briefly explain why we're having to have this.
That's where I was, thank you. That's where I was going. I'll give you a super fast rundown recap of what we talked about at the board retreat and for the folks watching virtually. We received, I wish I'd put that date in front of me, but several months ago, basically a cease and desist letter from Perky Barber, which is a law firm representing the University of Texas. And so evidently the University of Texas makes it a habit to, and I'm not disparaging them, so just speaking factually, they look for other people using Longhorn logos and reach out to them if it's like theirs or too similar to theirs and say, stop, you can't do that. And that's what they did to us. And we reached out to our board attorney, Chris McCarty, who referred us to someone in his firm that does intellectual property rights. And that gentleman's name is Nicholas Vescovo. We reached out to Mr. Vescovo, and we have been back and forth with him for these past several months. We have not had any contact with him in the last couple of months because of COVID, but he said he came to us with a list of things that he thought would be what they would require of us. And the first one was a redesign. And so we asked him, is there any redesign that you've seen that you think they would approve that is still the front silhouette? Because we want to retain the integrity of what we know as Johnson County Longhorns. And if you look at our stuff, our uniforms, shirts and hats people buy or teams make, we've got all different kinds of Longhorns on there. So this is actually a blessing in disguise because we need to get with a singular design and get it trademarked for ourselves. So that's where we're at today. We asked our art teachers to do some designing, and after we really like this submission, Dr. Simcox, she's fond of it. I've talked to her about it. I've talked to our two athletic directors. This is not pre-approved. So just to be clear, the step that we're on now is I'd like to get your blessing to submit this to Mr. Vescovo, the attorney representing us, to go to the people representing the University of Texas. It's so convoluted, I apologize for that. But so that they can send it to the firm representing the University of Texas and say, what do you think about this? And they may come back and say, well, you're going to have to do a little more modification, at which point we have seen one that's similar that has the school letter, which it's a school in Georgia, and it starts with an L. So it's got an L behind it. You know, we could potentially put a JC back in the backdrop here and probably get it approved like that. But we're going to see what they think about this as a standalone first, with your blessing.
What's the difference?
Oh, I should have brought a Texas Longhorn. The Texas Longhorn, the ears are more round, the snout is much more narrow, this is chunkier, and the horns are directionally different. So these horns are quite a bit different. And the horns, from what I've gotten from our attorney, that's a sticking point for them. The horns need to not be or look exactly the same. Ours wasn't identical, but they said it was way too close. And so just as a point of review too, we said, well, what if we fought it? And he said, well, I'm actually litigating one right now, and my defense budget is to a local school system, an East Tennessee school system. The defense budget I submitted was $242,000, and they're not guaranteed to win. In fact, you're probably not going to win when you're going up against a Goliath like the University of Texas. So for obvious reasons, we can't fight this. So we're looking to retain our identity and our integrity, but make a design change. So I guess what I'm asking now is I don't know if it requires a roll call vote or just whatever, but may I have your permission to submit this to our attorney to submit to the University of Texas?
Oh, I like it.
I think it still looks like us,
Yeah.
especially if it's Johnson County.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
Thank you all very much.
All right, next item on our agenda, going back up now, I guess number 6 is the second and final reading of PSBA recommended changes on the following policies and new policies. Policy 1.8011 on emergency closing and 5.1151 telework during emergencies. And I'm guessing these all have to do with the COVID crisis.
They do have to do with the COVID crisis. 1.8011 is just allowing provisions for us to pay employees while schools are closed. So we did the resolution, but we also have to put it in our policy. In case this ever was to happen again, let's hope that it doesn't. And then the brand new policy is that we are allowing our employees to work from home if needed.
Okay. All right, this is the second and final reading. So is there any, well, we need a motion, I guess.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we accept them.
Payne made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Reese has seconded it. Do we have any discussion on either of these? All right, if there's no discussion, if you will, call the roll.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Yes. Next item, number 8, is to approve the resolution for emergency suspension of board policies. You want to talk about this, Dr. Simcox?
Yes, and this is also TSBA requested. On April the 9th, the State Board of Education met, and they come up with guidelines that sort of change some of the state policies that we have to follow, the grading system, graduation requirements. There'll be no TCAP testing. So as a part of their approval to allow boards to do this, we have to have a resolution. Instead of changing every one of those policies, this resolution just states that during the 1920 school year, based on the emergency suspension of these policies, it just puts these all in detail, and that's in the resolution, that the grading system, they can't make lower than what they had on March the 20th. Graduation requirements for a state diploma went from a 22 to a 20. All testing programs will cease. Evaluation scores will not be generated for educators for the 1920 school year. And then attendance, that students will not be penalized for not doing the courses. So this is something the state board did allow and they did approve, but we have to have a resolution stating that we will accept this emergency suspension. That way we don't have to change every one of our board policies for 1 year.
And this has to do with what we should have been doing this last semester.
Correct.
Okay, you have a motion on this?
Now, this is just for 1 year,
Yes, this is just for 1 year. If for some reason that we're still in this COVID time for the 2021 school year, the state board would have to do this again. But this is just for the 1920 school
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept this resolution.
Okay, Mr. Matheson made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second for Mr. Long. Is there any more discussion on this? Questions? Can you recommend us?
year. Yes, I do.
All right, if you will call the roll.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Ms. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Next item, number 9, approve ELA textbook adoption contract.
This is just required by the Department of Education every year. Next year is our ELA adoption, which is English Language Arts, which is a huge adoption for our system. But this is just stating that we will be doing ELA adoption for the next school year, which we are required to do.
Now, does the State Board of Education give us a list of books you can use,
They do.
textbooks?
They actually have a list that are accepted. And if you go off if you were to want to subscribe to someone that's not on that list, you have to get permission. So they do.
Okay.
And we usually we've always went off of what they approve on their list.
Do we still have a committee or
We do.
a group that looks at these?
Yes, and every year it's different based on the subject that's coming up. With this one, of course, it was our English Language Arts teachers. But they get all these textbook samples, they go through them, we have them available for parents to look at if they want to look at. But we base this on the committee's recommendation. So it is made up of teachers and parents, and
So the parents do have input into it.
they do.
Oh, yeah, wasn't there a civics requirement this year?
It
Does this resolution cover that?
does, but our civics requirement was already met.
Oh,
But
okay,
that is in the resolution, but our students are already met that.
because I looked through that and I didn't notice it.
Is this going to be for the 2021? These
We
books, will they be?
We will buy books for the 2021 school year, yes.
And those books will be used for how many years?
They were on a 6-year rotation. They are off a year now because next year was supposed to be math. They put math off a year. So that will put everything off another year, so it'll be 7 years.
Okay.
How long does it take to usually get these books when they're ordered, and when will they be ordered? Is that fall?
We try to order them as soon as possible because because you got everyone across the state ordering them. So once we have budget approval, then we will get them. Because it'll be anywhere from the mid-July to 1st of August, and then the teachers have to go through PD to be able to supply the books.
We've got a lot of Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is one of the things we're looking at using the CARE money for, because ELA is a huge adoption. It's one of our most expensive adoptions. Tina and I have been working with that, but we think we might be able to use the stimulus dollars that we're getting to help with the ELA adoption, which would help our budget in turn. Yeah.
Any more questions? I think we need a motion on this one.
If you have to sign.
I move we approve.
Yeah, I'll
Mr.
second.
Ross made a motion, Mr. Payne second, will call the roll?
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Ms. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Carlson?
Yes. Next, item number 10, recommendation of tenure candidates.
Yes, as those that have been on the board a while, you know, tenure has changed. Now it's based on evaluation scores. We only have two that are eligible for that this time. That's Bobby Joe Brooks and Ashlyn Tester. Normally what we do is we recommend them in May. We have a reception so you can meet them in June, and then you vote on them in July. We won't be able to have the reception in June because of the governor's orders. But Angie will be emailing you tomorrow their portfolios, so you can look at their portfolios and go through them, and then we will vote on them in July. If you don't grant them tenure, we cannot hire them back with the new rules, but they are both phenomenal. They do a great job.
What school do they teach at? What do they teach?
Ashlyn Tester teaches at Rome Creek. She teaches fifth or sixth grade ELA. She's moved her around a few times. And then Bobby Joe Brooks is at Mountain View Elementary and pre-K.
And the principals have made recommendations.
They have.
And we'll get the portfolios tomorrow.
Yes, Angie's going to email them tomorrow.
So are we, since we're not gonna do the reception, will we vote on them in June or wait?
We have to wait till July. That is part of the new law.
Part of the law.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't need any action on that.
No, I just wanted to make you aware you'll be receiving that.
Okay, that's great. All right, budget update from Ms. Woodford.
Okay. You have your regular packet of information. Included in that packet is on the second page, the balance sheet shows your undesignated fund balance. So if you get a chance to look at that, there is a copy of the reserves, the budget reserves in there. And there's a copy of the local option sales tax and property tax. And then also I have a sheet in there with the summary. Just one note of interest. Sales tax collections received in April, but for the month of March, were $124,066. Collections were up $170 from the prior month and up $6,989 from the same month. So I know our issues with COVID began in March, and our sales tax is still healthy at this time. So anyhow, if you have any questions on this information, please give me a call. Come by.
Feels like it's low.
What's lower?
Property tax. So property tax collections received in April were $34,282. Total collections were $2,576,000, and for 18 to 19, they were $2,566,000. So they're just a little bit up above the same period from 18 to 19 and then 19 to 20.
February looks like it was a little higher than last year. It's where
There was a larger
such a wash.
collection in February, so dropped. Okay, so if you have any questions about this, please give me a call or come by and see me. And then I have printed a copy for everyone of the budget information. If you all will just let us know what you want us to do. Mr. Robinson says that we will be coming before the board on June the 9th to present the budget. Only 3 people are allowed to attend the meeting. He said everyone else can attend by Zoom. And he said that he will unmute the board in case you all have comments or questions on the Zoom call. So,
We are at a point where we have our budget done, except this point. You know, we need to know as far as salaries, you know, which direction you want us to go in, and so Tina can plug those in. And we will have to have a work session prior to taking it in front of the county commission, because we will have to have approval.
So can you explain this a little bit?
We'll be happy to. If you look at the top one, it's divided into between certified employees and non-certified employees.
if they turn to the second page, it's actually
Yeah, the second page is really.
The GP is the only thing in that line, and that's combined with certified and non-certified. So
So if you look at the top of the second page, the first page just breaks it down with certified and non-certified. This, like Tina said, puts it all together. I appreciate Tina so much. She does a great job with the budget, and she works really hard.
So what you're saying is this line here would be the total.
This will be the total of
Yeah.
the first page.
So the first page is telling us how much we're certified and how much we're not.
Yes.
But the second page, we get a 1% increase.
That's the total.
Total
Out
of
of-
the cost. for it.
Out of GP budget.
Yeah.
Just for GP, so just your all's budget. So if you look, at the number of employees that we have that's in the GP budget, you'll see what it would be to give a 1% increase, a 2% increase, a 3% increase, a one-time $500 bonus, or a one-time $760.
So you can see what that would be.
How much did we turn over to the general purpose recycling?
If you will look at the bottom of the 18-19, it was 340,000. And the reason, I know we talked about the difference, how it was larger, and that was due to an increase in the sales tax collection.
So that was
I
the huge
spoke with
difference
Mr. Robinson about
between
that.
17-18 and 18-19.
So, for just a minute, look on 18-19, what you're saying is that we had a savings of 340,000.
Yes.
Really 341,000.
Yes.
And for the past 3 years, we've had a little higher, a little lower. But what Mr. Russell is saying is
In
that
the
for 18-19, the sales tax, which hopefully that will
The trend.
be kind of
Hopefully
where we're
continue.
at with
Yes.
the two stores, two places.
We hope it continues to be on an uphill.
So you're talking about 3% increase.
Uh-huh.
3% increase is the either, and the bonus is. So it's 297,000, 3% increase.
Correct.
Mhm.
Did we, I thought somebody had looked at the folks on the lower end, school bus drivers, janitors. Their 3% is not like teachers.
Right, if you do look at the first page on that, you can see sort of the difference, you know, with the non-certified employees. They do receive more when you do the bonus,
Just
Yeah.
because of their income,
So you can see sort of how it breaks down on that first page,
you know, the difference.
Somebody mentioned
Can,
of giving them with a raise,
non-certified?
the non-certified. Is that, did I drink that, or was I thinking that, or something, did I hear that?
Well, I don't
I'm
know
not
if I said it or not, but
I think that was sort of thrown out.
Yeah.
At Border Street that day.
Yeah,
maybe it was Board Street, but
Do we
I know,
favor you to do that?
it's not,
It would depend, I guess, on which one you wanted to do. You know, if you were to do a 3% increase and also a $750 bonus, you know, you can see.
But
I don't know how to separate that.
But a 1%, if you wanted to do a 1% increase and a $500 bonus, then that would be doable.
And that would be doable for all, if that was
Something you were.
But it would be really
It would be hard to do.
impossible to do like a 3% increase and a bonus.
but can we not give like certified employees, because they make a lot more money? I mean, we've got non-certified that make $8, $9.
right.
And we have our certified employees that if they get that bonus, you know, I mean, if they get the raise, it's gonna be a lot more. Can we do half and half? Can we do it different for certified and non-certified or not?
That's up to the board.
That's
Your all.
My other question is, like certified, our teachers, this raise is only on the local part.
The part we get from BEP is only on those BEP funded positions. So you're adding some additional dollars into, to
Cover those teachers that
are
are
not covered in the BEP.
Well, what does the average,
Increase in the BEP money this year?
We did,
$132,000.
$132,000.
what does the average janitor make, and what is the average?
The average
cook?
janitor or custodian is between 16 and 17,000 a year.
How much
And
an
they're
hour?
12
Let's
months.
look at hours.
So 12 months.
Is it-
Divided by 260 days. And divide that by 7 hours.
Because if we don't start paying our janitors and our cooks what they're worth, or at least partly what we're not gonna keep them.
I mean, you've got to pay your support staff.
Right.
You got to.
$8.17 an hour. The
How
So,
much,
why
average
cut-
17.
8.7?
What's 3% of that? 64 cents?
$25.
25 cents? Well, just throwing this out there, what would be a problem, say like your support staff like that? Let's just say they get $1 raise this year, next budget. And then or certified, let's go ahead and do the 3% or 2%. How much would that cost us?
So are you saying give all non-certified $1?
That's just a round number. I mean,
You're throwing that out there, I see what you're saying.
yeah,
Give them a dollar amount. and the
Yeah.
certified folks,
a percentage, yeah.
Instead of a bonus?
Or either give them the bonus. What about giving the certified a bonus?
I think so.
Certified a
No.
bonus. 'Cause that's gonna be probably less money if you give them a bonus. Is that correct?
Okay, like, if you get $1 times 8 hours would be $8 a day, and then they work 260 days times the 8 would be $2,080, based on $1 an hour.
Per person.
So what's that gonna cost? Budget?
We're just talking about average, approximately.
Yeah.
You know, and,
No, I know we're gonna have
and I just said $1 because that's a round number. We might have to say 75 cents or 80 cents or something. But we need to start helping these people out because, you know, they can't buy groceries and gas. It's gonna get to the point, well, gas is cheap now, but, when this virus is over, gas is gonna go back up.
It's already going up.
Yeah, yeah, it is, yeah.
And groceries are going up. I mean, it's unbelievable
And
at
one
the,
thing,
the,
I think one thing to keep
In
in
the
the
back of your mind, one of the things that the governor had put in his plan but got taken out was the fact that
for certified employees to get the minimum up to 40,000, which for us would have took $4,000. So that's something else to consider when you're thinking of a bonus versus a raise. Because if he does come along and approve that, or I know they're going back in session in June, or he puts that in his budget for next year, we will have to apply, comply with that. So that's just something to be thinking about.
But if he does that, they'll have to increase the BEP.
They would have to.
They will have to.
They'll have to
but
cover it.
We have the positions that are not BEP funded that we would have to
Yeah.
pull in. So that's just something else to consider, not to get so far behind that when we're trying to catch up to the.
Right.
Right.
And
How,
the benefit of a percentage is on your retirement at the
Right.
end. So that, I think, I know as a state employee, that meant a lot to me as far as having that percentage to, mean a lot to me now getting the retirement.
Mhm.
Tina, did you figure out the cost?
Yes, it would be about 350,000 if we did every non-certified to 2008.
We don't have that money.
No.
Well, some.
And what was that number now? I'm sorry.
It was about.
she wants to figure that out, though. She wants us, I think, to give us a decision, and so.
I know, but I'm just
A
saying,
little bit less on the system.
Well-
I can't do a dollar raise, 350,000, that is absorb everything
Yeah.
that's on there.
What about our
I think you misunderstood what I said. You can still do a 3% for the certified. Just a dollar amount for the non-certified.
Yeah, but the dollar amount for the non-certified is $350,000.
So you could maybe look at 50 cents.
Oh,
That was just a non-certified.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
That wasn't everybody.
That absorbs everything that you've got on here, so nobody get anything of it. Well, we wouldn't even have that money. Well, we didn't even have that money turned over, we had 341,000.
Maybe, a little more than 3% for them people, just a dollar amount, which is 50 cents, 75 cents, whatever.
Last year, we paid $135,285 in bonus payments, and then we still carried over the 340. So
So you had what total?
would be
On those non-certified people,
475.
why can't you give them, a dollar amount? This money that you're gonna get from the federal government on the COVID-19, you did 700 some thousand?
We can't use that for salaries.
That can't be used to increase anyone's pay.
I thought I read that that's what they could do with it.
No, you can't use the CARES Act to increase. You can use it to provide, these are the areas we can use, provide principals and school leaders resources to address local needs, plan for long-term closures, address the unique needs of special populations, which would be our special needs students, purchase technology that can be used by the student, provide summer learning and supplemental after-school programs, which would be, we provided the summer school, we could pay the salary for the summer school out of that, provide mental health services, or conduct activities necessary to maintain operations like food service, but we cannot use it to increase salaries.
The comptroller's office said that we could use any expenses that can be pushed back to COVID that was March through December. And then also they were saying that when you did your budgets, that you might want to be conservative, that they were looking at a fear that COVID might resurface next year or in the fall.
Yeah.
Going back to what Joanne had mentioned earlier, if you did a 3% across the board for everyone, then based on what we're talking about now, do a separate dollar amount for our non-certified that didn't have to, because the problem here is reoccurring. But if we did that, what Joanne was suggesting at first was the 3% bonus, 3% increase across the board, and then a bonus to our non-certified, who are the very lower end of our payment. Then we could afford to do that. If we give them both, they would get the 3% increase, which, 3% may not be a whole lot, but at least they're getting 3% more.
Right.
And then give them a bonus on top of that because of their economic situation.
Yeah.
You're talking about non-certified.
Yeah, right, yeah, just non-certified. Teachers and non-certified would get 3%. And then for the non-certified, because they're at that lower end, to give them a bonus, which if you did both of those and you did the 500, what would you have, Tina? That's $430,000 for 400.
I was seeing what, at
Oh, well, no,
3%.
that 500, that 138 is for everybody. So-
Yeah, if you look back to 75 on the
So
first.
you have the 297 as a 3% increase for everyone, which looks like pretty much we hopefully can sustain that.
A 3% increase for a bus driver would be about $285 a year.
Yeah, but, we're talking about doing both. What would be
Right.
a $500 bonus for just your non-certified?
Just my
What would that
non-certified.
total be? 'Cause it's
So
not
we
the 138.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 75,240.
And if you add that to 297, or 60, that gives you-
What would that be?
That would be 372.
So if you take in what you just said, then this last year, we would still have put money into our reserves.
Yes, because we had 340 that we carried over. And then we had, out in bonuses, 135, 285. Yeah, so that's, there would still be a little bit carried over.
Everybody think? Very-
Yeah, well, that's,
The stars in our
yeah,
budget?
right, yeah. Something, think about, so I know we're gonna work session.
That gives them,
It
they
gives
need to
us
start.
a starting point,
Yeah.
to plug in numbers.
Ms. Reed, is that okay?
That's
Mr. Payne?
fine.
Now, the bonus does go toward their, retirement, doesn't it?
I was gonna ask you.
What happens is with that one check, we pay TCRS. So there would be a chunk came out of the bonus that went into their TCRS.
But it's not very based on that.
Right.
No, it's just that one.
Time.
Okay, so you just direction.
Yes,
on that.
we do. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to add on that?
Good.
Clifford, you got anything else to add on the budget issues?
That's all I have for now.
All right. All right, Dr. Simcox, you've got several things that are gonna be of interest to everyone.
I do, and I have put some things at your desk, and I'm just gonna try to go down my little notes. I do wanna make you aware,
Kathy McCullough has done the CEP, the Community Eligibility Provision numbers. And great news, we are locked in for 4 years, and what that means is all of our students at every school are free breakfast and lunch, and we're locked in for 4 years. We were a little worried that the high school might have to come off, but she was able to finagle that, and the numbers just fit perfectly, so we're very excited that we'll be able to do that for the next 4 years.
It's nice when you hear on the news about kids who, you know, have to go through the line and the person takes their tray away because they can't pay for it.
Yeah,
We don't have to worry about that.
right.
And
Yeah.
I do want to, I guess, just comment on the fact, all of our employees have worked so hard, but our food service employees have worked extremely hard during this time to ensure that we have fed as many kids as possible. So I do want to just say a shout out to thank them, and the bus drivers too.
Commend those people.
Yes, they are driving every day. The food service workers, they have worked every single day, and they have not once complained. And we just have a tremendous staff, and I do want to thank them. If you see a food service worker, please just tell them that. 'Cause
Yeah.
Those teachers in Shady have been riding the bus.
Yeah, we have teachers riding the bus. We have assistants. They're on a rotation schedule because that's part of they have to work. So they're on there weekly. So we've just had tremendous, and they love doing it. They'll call and say, do you need anybody on the bus today? So, and it's been a great thing. So I do want to thank our staff for the way they've stepped up and helped. You have, in front of you, you have a little pamphlet. Chase made this. This is what's going to go home to every senior. We have a meeting tomorrow just to go over logistics. This will go out to every senior, and this is just sort of guidelines for the graduation ceremony that's going to happen at the Chamber Park. And, you know, I just want to say it's been a very sad year for all of our students, but it's been a very sad year for the class of 2020. You got to have their normal end of the senior year. And one of the things I did meet with some leaders of the class of 2020 to just throw out suggestions. How can we have a graduation? And, you know, we talked about virtual, which wasn't really popular, but a lot of systems are doing that. And their big thing is they wanted to graduate as a class. They didn't want to have to do it in groups. They wanted to graduate with their friends. So that's how this came about with the Chamber Park. I just thought that would be a great way to let them have a formal ceremony. Every senior will receive 2 tickets. People can put as many people as they want in their cars. They only have 2 cars per senior. We are asking, if you look, that they not come in passenger buses or vehicles that require CDLs, because that would be hard to accommodate. We're trying to make it as special as possible. If you've driven by Doe, you'll see the flatbed trailers. They've got the pergola done. It looks really, really nice. We have chairs coming Wednesday we'll be setting up. But as far as the board goes, if you'll look at the map, I gave you a little map. If you're coming from town and like you're coming to the Chamber Park, that first little road, you see it says student and staff entrance. That's how you'll come in that day, and you'll have parking there. So you won't be parking in the normal spot because we want all of our parents to be able to have those spots. So we'll be parking over there. We will walk in. We will proceed in front of the graduates like we always have. We'll go on the stage. The main difference for you all as far as graduation ceremony, you know, in the past, I hand them their diploma and they come by and you get to shake all their hands. We can't shake their hands. I can still hand them their diploma, but then they'll just go on across the stage. But you'll be standing there. You know, you can say congratulations or whatever, but that was one of the things that when we put our plan with Dr. Kursky, who's over the regional health department, he said, your plan looks great. Just make sure that there's no shaking of hands. So just to make you aware of that. The night before is Presidential Academic Award, so it's going to be the same. It'll be the same. You'll hand in their plaque like you've always done in the past. So it's going to be the same concept with Presidential the night before. That, like I said, this will be mailed out to all the seniors. It's going to be on our website. This just gives you an idea of what it's going to look like down there, and Presidential will be the same way as graduation. Do y'all have any questions?
Will somebody be telling people where to park?
Yes, our SROs, Cody's over shaking his head. Mark and SROs are going to be taking care of parking, so I know that we don't have any worries there or any issues.
And one of the big things, I guess, I see in your brochure is that families can't take a back pickup truck or get out of their car.
Yes, that was one of the guidelines from the governor. For us to be able to have this, is they have to stay in their vehicles. And I know this is such a special moment and you want to be able to get up there and get your picture made, we are going to offer Tammy Trivett, who, if you've ever seen Tammy's work, she does a phenomenal job. She's going to be taking a picture of every senior as they walk across the stage. We're going to give that to the seniors as a gift. It will be streamed live. Charter Spectrum is going to put a hotspot down there. Rob has been meeting with them, so we're going to be able to stream it live from the Chamber Park.
How will the families, do they have a station to tune into?
Yes, WMCC is going to be broadcasting it for us, so it's 102.9. So they'll when they get there, I'm sure the SROs or whoever's giving them programs will say, turn your radio to 102.9.
You know, working in Virginia, and we cover 10 counties, a lot of the staff up there saw it on the news, and we're very envious because a lot of their kids, they're just sending them the diplomas in the mail,
Right.
or they're having a drive-through where you drive through and in a car, and they're pretty upset that they're not having anything. They're pretty envious of the fact of what you're doing.
Yeah, and I'm very proud. We've had a lot of questions about why can't we have it on the football field, just to address that. The reason we can't have it on the football field is not only do the families have to be 6 feet apart, there has to be 3 rows in between families. So we went up there and actually walked it off. You could only get 80 people on the home side of the stand. That's not a lot of people we have 154 seniors. So the football field is just not doable. It's not allowed in the guidelines.
It's not big enough.
It's not big enough. And even if you parked cars, there's going to be spots where you can't park behind the press box. You can't park behind the concession stand. So it's just not a doable space. I'm just thankful that we have Chamber Park. A lot of counties don't have a Chamber Park to be able to use one.
Well, I appreciate you reaching out to the seniors and letting them help plan with it.
It's their day. It's their day.
Hey, Harris, all those people in Virginia that could probably have that, that get rid of that new fall government.
If the seniors will still be sitting,
The seniors will be sitting in chairs that'll be 6 feet apart and 6 feet behind, so they'll have their distance when they get up to go across the stage. There'll be 6 feet between each graduate. The only thing that we're having to do, that Dr. Kersey said we do have to make sure we do, is once graduation's over, they can't congregate. Which I know that breaks my heart because they're going to want to, enjoy this time with their friends, but we have to ensure that we don't have that happening.
Hopefully, everybody will work together so that at least we get to have this opportunity.
Right, and I think they will.
All right.
Something else I wanted to share, that will go into effect on June the 1st, and I gave you a copy of that. If you see, it says Johnson County Schools Scholastic Activities Return to Action Plan. TSSAA, which is, and TSSMA governs our athletics and our extracurricular activities. And, a lot of systems are, the athletes are wanting to get back into practicing. Superintendents in my region, which is the 1st district, which is Morristown all the way to us, we have weekly calls. We had our athletic directors on a call last week. A lot of systems across the state are going ahead and opening their facilities for their athletes to come in. They had a committee of athletic directors that got together. They got with Dr. Kersey, who's our regional health guy, and these are the guidelines that have come up for us to be able to allow extracurricular activities, which is mainly our athletes and band. And what it is for us, it will be effective June the 1st. We'll be able to have practice. There's a lot of guidelines with this. You can only have 9 players per 1 coach. That's part of this, which is part of the social distancing. But for example, for football, you can have 9 players and 1 coach on this end of the football field, 9 players and 1 coach on this end of the football field. You can have 9 players and a coach in the weight room. Very strict disinfectant guidelines, so they can't have a spotter, so they have to only be able to use 50% of the weight they would normally use. We can also use the practice field, so you can actually have 4 groups of football players practicing at a time. After they use the weight room, disinfect before you get the next group in. Same thing with volleyball and basketball. They'll be a little bit more limited because they'll be in the gym where football's outside, so they can have groups. There'll be temperature checks every day. The reason the kids have to stay in a group of 10 is if one person is running a temperature, they're all sort of out for at least 3 days. And that way, if you stay in the same group of 10, it only impacts that group of 10. So this will go into effect June the 1st. This is what everyone from Morristown up will be doing.
every county just to prepare, you know, I hope we get back in school. I hope that our athletics programs is as normal as can be possible, but,
Now, what if a parent felt like that their child shouldn't do this?
this is not, this is mandatory.
It's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's not required. I mean,
Right, so if the student's parent doesn't feel comfortable,
They will not be
they will be
penalized.
penalized by not coming during this grade.
They will not be penalized whatsoever. Because there will be parents that will not feel comfortable.
And what about daycare?
And Lori, I know you can hear me, Lori, if you'll come down. Lori, the guidelines for daycares is a little bit different than what they are for athletics, so she's going to share that information with you as well.
Now, if this COLA thing's ever accomplished,
Yes,
will the football program go back like it was? Or are you still gonna have to have a coach with 9 players? or-
what this is we will be one phase behind. So for example, if the state goes to a phase 2, which lets you have 20 people in a group, we have to stay at phase 1. When the state gets to phase 3, we can go up to phase 2. So we're always a phase behind with athletics for sports. So when it's lifted, of course it'll be lifted for everything, but as long as there's phases, we have to stay a phase behind.
What about the band?
The band's in the same way. The only thing the band does in the summer though is band camp, and that's usually in July. So, but this does impact band as well.
So if it's lifted, they can go to camp, otherwise they will not. They'll just be able to practice.
Right. Do you have any questions about the sport?
There probably will be some.
Okay. Just please reach out if you do.
While she hands that out, that, Rachel Ray grant,
Uh-huh.
did that come through?
It did, and Herbie is working on that. You know, one of the things we're trying to do with that is to do a food truck.
Yeah.
And have that, so we're still a go on that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And how's the building up there? Is it?
It's good. Yeah, right now, of course, everything's sort of on hold, but,
Yeah.
yeah, we're good.
I don't want in front of the camera. Okay, what I've given you is, just a summary of my meeting with Marianne Robinson and J.C. Lane, who's over both the child care programs. And then we also consulted with Chris Whitehead, who's the, child care program evaluator, about the guidelines of opening a program back. So what I've done is I've attached what it would take for us to open, plus the guidance for child care providers. Talking with Marianne and Jesse, there's about 52 students that are enrolled that their parents currently work. If we had 52 kids, we would have to have 6 classrooms because just like sports, you can only have 9 kids and 1 person. And you have to have, they suggest that you have somebody outside of the center to check people in every morning. They would have to come in on a rotating basis to sign in. You have to take their temperature, take the parent's temperature, assess the child just by looking at the child, ask them if they've been coughing, wheezing, if they've had Tylenol, and then the child washes their hands and comes in. Our problem is, if you've got 6 classrooms, you would have to have 12 people working, and that person has to work with those same 9 kids all 5 days.
Where were you explaining why we would have to have that many people working?
Because it's
The hours.
The hours, because they wouldn't work 12 hours a day, they would work 6 to 12 and 12 to 6. That's why we'd have to have that many. Plus the 2 people that it would take to sign them in and out, because people don't come in all at one time. Some may come in at 6 o'clock, some may come in at 9. They rotate in and out. And normal times, at 4 o'clock, if all of them gone but 3, you would put them all together in one room. But with these guidelines, if I have a kid, you have a kid, and you have a kid, we can't put them all together because of the social distancing. You want that kid to stay with the teachers they've been with all week. Our other problems are, you have to have somebody clean every time they go to the bathroom. Every time they touch any toys, like if they, put them in their mouth, that's not a problem. 6th graders most of the time, but little ones it is. You have to wash those toys. You can't have toys that can't be disinfected.
They can't go on the playgrounds because you can't disinfect the playground. They can go on a playground and walk, but they can't go on a playground and play. I don't know what we would do with kids for 12 hours with no equipment, and we've polled the teachers and assistants at Rome Creek and Mountain City, and nobody wants to work 5 days a week. That's a problem too. I mean, that's all I can tell you. So I'm ready for questions.
Back up.
Okay,
You said that they could go on the playground, walk on the playground?
walk, they can walk,
Not play.
not play. Because if they're on the equipment, then you would have to wash down that equipment between every class.
And so many minutes, so much time that disinfectant stay.
Yes. And we also were, where we had talked about putting it in Mountain City, I also talked to Dr. Bobby Anderson and Johnson City, because they're doing childcare now. She said that, like, if we put it at Mountain City, we have one kid get sick at Mountain City or a staff member, we have to shut it down for 4 days, which that would shut down our feeding program. So then we talked, if we put it at Rome Creek and Doe, we would have to have double the staff, because you're gonna have 2 people here and 2 people there working the front ends, plus cleaning. And if a kid travels out of the region, stays overnight, they're quarantined for 2 weeks and can't come back to childcare. It's all written down. I wrote it.
So how are they doing this down in Johnson City?
They have more staff members that are willing to work right now.
What are they doing with the kids to keep them occupied?
They're playing with toys, and then they just have somebody that's cleaning them. And when you clean them, you have to put them in soapy water, wash them, bleach water, rinse them, and air dry them overnight.
I mean, a kid, for a small child to go out and they could walk, you know, having kids down there and see what they do, they could play like hopscotch on the thing or things like that, just not involving the playground, right?
Correct.
So staff-wise, would you be able to staff it?
No, we would not be able to staff it. Mary Ann has no one that wants to work full-time. Jessie has 2 that wants to work that would work 5 days a week.
How did we do it with Mountain City and Rome Creek before?
Because they can work 2 days a week, or 3 days a week, or 1 day a week. They don't have to work 5 days.
You could put 30 in a room then, right?
And you can, yes.
You didn't have to have as many people working.
Just have like cut the days down. I mean, that would give parents the opportunity to at least only have to get somebody to keep them for 1 day, or maybe somebody in the family, you know, to do that. That would help, you know, the teachers. Just don't open it 5 days a week? What you're saying? Yeah, like 4 days a week. And do you have to have it 12 hours? You don't have to have it 12 hours, but people work different shifts. So that would be the problem too. Well, do you know how many people will be working that late? No. So that would be something you could check. If you don't, I mean, close it down like at 4 o'clock. Don't have staff. Don't have, right. And
Nobody's coming forward to work.
And when I talked to Chris Whitehead, who does, comes around and evaluates our program, anybody that we would hire would have to go through like, and background checks. So they'd have to have fingerprints. They would have to have first aid and CPR. They would also have to have universal precautions and all that too.
The reason we can't do this is because of COVID and the regulations that would be required because of COVID.
Yes, for sure.
But you said that the staff at Johnson City was willing to work. Is that what you said?
There's more people there to work. They have, like, a lot of places in bigger communities have kids from college that work. So it doesn't have to be a teaching staff. They have kids that like work through their college hours, and they work in those programs too. We just don't have that here. And they have to be 20 to work now, 21? 21. Used to you could work at 18, you could work in childcare, but now you have to be older.
Well, the problem with people who are laid off is that if they take a job, even a part-time job, they lose their employment. They're getting $600 a week more than what you pay for. Because I'm having that problem.
But let me ask you this, if, you don't have any college students that's going to school now that is not wanting the part-time job of some sort?
They'd have to be 21, and they would have to go through all the, like, we would have to hire them as our employee. which means they would have to have the background check, which takes, how many weeks to get back now? Couple?
Well, there's different stages of it, so by the time they have to go do the fingerprints, I mean, we're looking at a week or two. Plus, if they go over 30 hours, then we have to pay health insurance on them, we have to pay retirement on them, even though it's a part-time job. I mean, we'd have to look at the number of hours per week per month.
Sometimes even during the year, it's hard to staff, after school.
And I don't know if we would, the college students that we have would already have a job. I don't know that we would have any in Duncan County that would just be here to.
Could we put a ad in the paper to see what kind of response we get from it?
We can put a
If you had,
website.
right now, what does it cost per child? I mean, if it's normal, last year, what did it cost?
$80 a week during the summer, if they come 5 days.
And if we did this, I mean, if we could find the people to do it, what would it cost?
We figured it up today, if 52 kids came at $80 a week, and they came all week, I'm gonna say it was 8,000 something. If we had all the employees that we would have to have, it was 8,900 a week. So we were gonna be losing like $800 a week.
To compensate for that,
For this program?
We only get what the parents pay.
so what I'm,
The board doesn't give us any money, it's just ran like a daycare.
What I'm asking is-
Parent payments.
instead of $80 a week, what would it cost the parent? Twice as much, 3 times as much? In,
To be
sounds
able
to me
to
like
run
it'd
it,
be 3 times, could we have,
to financially be able to run it.
yeah,
If you had the staff,
yeah.
you would have to charge more. You would.
I mean, from what you're saying, just running through my mind, not even counting paying for the background checks and the insurance and everything, we're looking at $240 a week, probably, per parent. The parents can't afford that.
Don't
Or
make
you
that.
have on here face masks, staff members and children should wear face covering for the facility, so everybody, including all the little kids, you'd have to make them wear a face mask.
Yes. Now, the guideline says yes to wear a face mask. Bobby said that there are adults wear a face mask, the kids just stay 6 foot apart, and they're not making them wear a face mask. But if guideline says it, then I would rather everybody have them on. It's easy to keep 6th graders apart from each other, but it's not easy to keep 4 or 5-year-olds apart from each other.
How many do you have that's considered like 5th and 6th graders?
I can't tell you.
I mean, on average, what if they have? Does anybody know?
I know that like in pre-K, we usually have 10. So we usually have more of the smaller kids than we do the older kids.
When you go down there in the summer, it's mainly the smaller.
It
The
is
smaller?
smaller.
Which, that might change if it was open during this time.
But let's go back, you can't staff it.
We cannot staff it.
So even if no matter what we solve, no matter what you charge, you still don't have people to staff.
Correct.
So, based on, what Mr. Matheson said, could you run an ad just to see?
We could. I don't know how we would go about getting them CPR trained.
Well, I tell you, that's gonna be a problem, because right now I have that same problem with my nurses.
Because-
The American Heart and Red Cross won't do any class.
No, they won't. So, and they have to be CPR trained. But, I mean, that's just this is something to throw out there is, if we did have an influx, I don't know if we could meet the requirements to have them. I mean, I wish we could, and, maybe we could utilize Wendy in that aspect, but.
So even if at the rescue squad, I forget who does their training, even if he would volunteer his time, still couldn't get them certified because
Agencies won't let
there's only 2 agencies that'll do it, right?
Because I've got nurses running out of their certification, that's a requirement, we can't get it done. The agency itself will not let their trainers do a class.
Well, what if we put the ad in? That would at least cover.
Let's see what comes up. Well,
Uh,
I'm like Mr. Matheson, agrees. Let's put an ad in, put your requirements, put your dollar amount, and see what kind of response you get. Because if you don't get a response, we can't do it. I mean, it's not something we can do.
And we also need to know what it's gonna cost the parents.
Correct.
So, that dollar amount I threw out there just, but I bet it's gonna be over 200 a week, yeah.
If you got those people that applied for it. Then you can figure out what it would cost the parents and let the parents know, let them make a decision on,
Whether-
afford this or not.
Yes.
My guess is gonna be a lot of parents have already figured something out if they're working. Of course, a lot of them aren't working.
Correct.
This may change.
I've had one call about it, and I told them that we would get back in touch with them when we could make a decision of how we could run it, if that was a possibility.
So I think what we hear the Lord saying is, go ahead and run that, put the requirements in there, and let's see what kind of response you get.
Okay.
Make sure you put it on Facebook.
Oh,
Yes.
Tomahawk, really. Tomahawk,
Mhm.
And we'll send it to them.
Press, Facebook, maybe.
That's how we found our babysitters, Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. What else you got, Dr. Silcox?
I just want to, mention, I had sent you a draft copy of the 5-year plan. We will try to have a work session in June when things sort of calm back down so we can go over that. And then just to give you an update on where we're at with Pearson, we did have a call with the State Department the other day. I want to thank Mr. Carlton for joining in on that call. We're having to make some changes and updates and edits, which that's normal when you send in an approval to the State Department. So we are currently working on that. Pearson is where we're doing the online and the virtual tools for our kids. So we are still, working on that.
Well, one of the things in the phone call with the person from the State Department of Education is the possibility that this may close this year.
Yeah.
If people have the option.
It could, yeah. I hadn't thought of
They may
that.
not want to send their kids back to school this year, and they may have more Johnson
Yeah.
County people than, well, statewide, but they may have more Johnson County people wanting to take advantage.
Okay.
Yes, and there's not been any talk from the State Department as far as what will school look like when we start back. I have a feeling once we get into June, those conversations will be had, because I think they're just letting people get through the year.
But isn't one of the topics whether or not you can start in
Yeah.
August?
Yes, one of the topics is we may have to change our calendar. But they've not come out and said that officially, but that is, I know that is being discussed. It's also being discussed to have staggered, like some students would come in on one day, some would come in on another day. I don't know how that would work, but that's just some of the things that I have heard out there. So I do think we might have an increase of families across the nation that are looking more at the virtual.
Now, is this for both the one for our local school system and the one for?
Yes. And then just as a reminder, next Friday night is presidential. It starts at 6 o'clock, and then graduation is the next day. That's all I have.
Now, help me out, say, let's see, the, Connections Academy is what we voted on the last time, right?
The Connections Academy is the one that's for the statewide.
The
The
statewide,
one we voted on last time is the Johnson County.
Johnson County,
Yes.
okay.
And, thank you, Tina, for reminding me, we do need to schedule a work session for the budget, so we can get that.
The work session go into a call meeting.
Did you get any more information on the local home study program we voted on last month?
Any more information as far as,
From parents or anything, response?
no, but I think right now, people are just trying to get through the school year. You know, I know Edna has had a few calls about homeschool, and they've heard that we have this, and, they're excited and have some questions. So we probably will get some back, just based on a few phone calls, but we've not had a lot of information yet, but I think it's just because they're trying to finish up the end of the school year too. But we will need to have a work session. We go in front of the budget committee June the 9th, so we will have to have it before then.
I can just,
If you all would care if we went ahead and scheduled that, because that's in 3 weeks.
Can you give us 2 dates and send it to us?
That has to be-
Let us respond back.
Yes, yes, we can. We can do that tomorrow.
And those have to be in the paper and all that good stuff, right?
We have to have the notice,
The notice, right, okay.
because it will have to go into a call.
Give us 2 dates, and that
Okay.
way, if you send that out, hopefully we can all look at our calendars and figure that out tomorrow or next day,
We will
what's the
send
best
it,
date, and you pick it out.
I'll send that tomorrow.
Will it be in May, or do you? Yeah,
Either be the
probably.
end of May or, yeah, it'll probably be the end of May.
Towards the end of May or early June.
I guess it depends on what we have to do about graduation. If, hopefully it won't rain, hopefully it'll be like.
It's not gonna rain.
I hope not, because I can't be.
Try to be positive.
All right.
I won't be able to make it on the 30th, so.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Is there anything we can do, toward the, food service people, bus drivers, teachers that get in this feeding program, so, you know, give them a recognition of some special?
Yes, we can.
I think that's something we need to think about.
We can. We can definitely do that.
If Tina has a little extra money, so.
Okay, Ms. Reed, do you have anything?
No.
Payne?
Nope, we got it. I got mine covered when passed out papers.
No.
I just thank everybody, I know it's a struggle. I just don't see how you, come up with these ideas. Rob just does a tremendous job.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we adjourn.